Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Monday evening, April 29, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video, share it, subscribe and tap the notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I post a brand new video. Feel free to leave a comment down in the comment section letting me know what the has been like in your year recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so let us take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening. We can still see that the entire Atlantic basin is being dominated by ridges of high pressure, one right here to the east of Florida, another right here to the northwest of Africa, and we know that these ridges of high pressure are responsible for sending all of those easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can also see the tail end of a cold front right here, stretching all the way from northern section of North Atlantic all the way down to the north of the main development region, and it has also induced a trough as represented by these broken red lines right here across portions of the northern main development region. If we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can see all of what we just saw on the surface map. The clouds associated with that cold front, not to mention the low level flow of clouds in the low to mid levels of the atmosphere, bringing some amount of overcast skies and isolated showers to sections of the eastern and northern Caribbean right here. So definitely some amount of clouds bring rainfall to sections of the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, sections of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, even sections of Jamaica getting in on the action as well. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean weather later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today. It was stated that we would have received some amount of morning rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes in Jamaica. Then some of these clouds would have spilled into sections of some central and western parishes in Jamaica during the afternoon, bringing rainfall in those areas. And for your information, we know eastern parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Surrey, so Portland, St. Thomas, Kingston and St. Andrew. Central parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Middlesex, so St. Anne, St. Mary, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine. While western parishes, we're talking about those parishes in the county of Cornwall, so Trelawney, St. James, Hanover, Westmoreland and St. Elizabeth. And what ended up happening? As early as 8:40 a.m. the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted on our Twitter page. Keep in mind that they aren't only posted on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make some daily posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. And we saw that on the Cuban Doppler radar images, we had some amount of greens, even some yellows in there that represents rainfall across sections of some eastern parishes in Jamaica. Some northern parishes even gotten on some of the action as well. So definitely a section of St. Mary, Portland, even section of St. Thomas gotten on some of that morning rainfall. Skipping ahead to about 2:05 p.m., we saw that the visible satellite images were posted, and we saw the buildup of clouds across sections of some, yes, eastern, central and western parishes, but more so across sections of some northern parishes. And we even saw some of those sparkling yellow dots in there across sections of the north, a section of that looks to be Trelawney, if not St. Anne, got in on some amount of isolated thunderstorm activity. So we definitely saw that rainfall, and we even saw a rain band right here pushing in to portions of St. Thomas right there, coming in from the east to affect sections of those areas too. And if we even take a look at the final imagery that was posted in the late afternoon, so this was about 4:46 p.m., we saw what took place in terms of the cloud cover across the island. Majority of the clouds that were to affect sections of St. Thomas, yes, some of it came on shore right here, but majority of it stayed offshore, but we still had that cloud cover and that shower activity still affecting sections of some central and western parishes, some high cold cloud tops being blown off towards the east, but we definitely saw that rainfall across sections of St. James, Hanover, Trelawney, sections of St. Elizabeth and Manchester as well. So that indeed confirms the rainfall that was predicted for eastern, central, and western parishes in Jamaica. And we even have our commenters on our Facebook, Instagram, and even our YouTube page confirming the rainfall in the area. Shawnee Reynolds stating raining in St. Andrew. Even on our Instagram page, we had born_fighter_tour stating Mobe got a shower. And even on our YouTube page, we had Neil Davis 671 stating good day, bro, getting lots of rainfall in Stony Hill, St. Andrew. And that indeed confirms the rainfall across those spots for today. And if we even take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we see where we still had that cloud cover across sections of Hanover, sections of St. James, Trelawney, some cloud cover still affecting sections of southern St. Elizabeth right there. But we see that for the most part, before the sun even went down, majority of the action was dissipating. Let us see what was happening across the eastern portions of the island by the time the sun was going down. Do we still have those clouds coming in from the east, southeast? Nope, most of the activity was definitely dissipating by that time. Just some patches of clouds still left back right there. If we take a look at the latest infrared satellite images, considering that the visible satellite images are out of the picture, we can see that majority of the island is has cleared out by now. Only some leftover clouds right there off to the west of the island, off to the east of the island right here. Still left over, nothing much across the island at all. But definitely gonna be seeing those stars out tonight. Alright, so if we take a look at the Cuban Doppler radar images, we can even see the rainfall that we just saw as represented by those clouds to the east of the island. That green, that even yellow in there represents light to moderate rainfall up to the east, more so to the east of Portland right here than anything else. Some spots of rainfall as well to the south of the island, pushing from east to west as we speak. We know Doppler radar images actually show the rainfall. We cannot cloud cover over an area and not necessarily rainfall. This is why we need to hurry up and get the Doppler radar for Jamaica up and running. It has been done for quite the longest while. Hopefully they get it sorted out as soon as possible. Taking a look at the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology's accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours, we can see where we had that rainfall today. This map definitely paints a picture of where we had the most rainfall, mainly across sections of northern parishes in Jamaica, even northern portion of some southern parishes. So definitely sections of northern St. Andrew, Stony Hill, section of northern St. Thomas got in on the action, northern St. Catherine as well. And we can even see that they got some decent amount of rainfall. Even although the rainfall totals aren't really 100% accurate, it does indeed paint a picture that yes, we had some rainfall across sections of the island today, and we're indeed grateful for that. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can say we have 26 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 26 degrees Celsius in Kingston as of right now. And by about, let's say, 4 a.m. Yes, so 4 a.m. on Tuesday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in Montego Bay, 24 degrees Celsius in Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we're indeed grateful that it is not that hot at all. We can see Jamaica embedded in more gray colors than anything else. As we can see by the key on the right, the grays represent the 0 on the scale. So it's not representing those yellows, oranges, or reds that represent above normal temperatures. And it's not representing those -1 to -6 represented by those blue and green colors. So we're in between. So we are going to be getting average temperatures across the island tomorrow. We're in the final days of April. We're starting to get up in there in the May temperatures, but let's work with April for now. So we're in the month of April. If we take a look at this bar graph right here, we usually get up to 88 degrees Fahrenheit for Jamaica's temperature during this month. If we take a look at the thermometer, 88 degrees Fahrenheit is about the same as 30 degrees Celsius. So that's where the temperature should be for Jamaica's temperature on Tuesday. As relates to the dry air map, we can see that the dry air is represented by what we see on the key on the bottom. the yellows, the oranges, the reds, and whites within those reds. And we can see that for the most part, this area where Jamaica is located has more blues than anything else that represent moist air. We're indeed grateful for that. The air is so moist across our region right now. We're indeed grateful because for the past couple of months, you've been experiencing a lot of yellows, if not oranges and reds, that represent a lot of dry air. So yes, we'll take the moist air, we'll take the rainfall that the moist air brings with it. Hopefully we get some more to put some kind of a dent in the drought that some areas are experiencing. Even the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday is promising. Jamaica right here in the clear, as all the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be across the waters of the main development region and Africa right there. So 2 p.m. on Tuesday, very much good for majority of the Caribbean, including Jamaica, and we're very much happy for that. As relates to the wave forecast for tomorrow, we see that both the Euro and the GFS maps are showing tomorrow's forecast in terms of the wave forecast. We see by the key on the bottom right here that we're going to be getting anywhere from 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, as we can see by these blues surrounding the island, even some lighter shades of blues on the west coast of the island, so maybe some 0.5 for meter wave height around sections of St. Elizabeth, Hanover, and sections of Westmoreland as well. And that's due to the fact that the winds are not gonna be that strong at all. We see more so in the way of those bluish greens, some brighter greens as well, coming in from the east for the most part. And we can see by the key on the bottom right that it all represents anywhere from 5 to 10 to even 15 knots, maybe even gusting to 20 knots in some spots. And as it relates to the upper level winds, we can see the direction coming in from the west northwest for tomorrow. So those high cold cloud tops, if they actually get up to that stage in the atmosphere to become cumulonimbus clouds, they'll be blown off towards the west, well, blown off from the west northwest to the east southeast. So it could favor more of that overcast skies and rainfall activity across sections of some southern parishes in Jamaica. So today, if we go back to the images, we saw that the high cold cloud tops were being blown off towards the east. Might even get some more of that up to the southeast for tomorrow. And with the low level flow coming in from the east, we're definitely going to be having those low level clouds and those mid level clouds building across sections of the island for tomorrow. And we're indeed grateful because the 1 hour total rainfall maps are showing some decent rainfall across the island. This map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing the forecast for 7 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 6 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see? It's a bit crazy on the Euro model, showing a lot of blues that represent rainfall surrounding the island at that time. We'll see exactly what unfolds. I'm more inclined to believe what the GFS is showing. GFS showing more of those blues that represent rainfall. Where do we see them? Across sections of some eastern parishes, so maybe eastern Portland, sections of eastern St. Thomas right there. And the Euro is a bit, in consensus with this. We see the same right here, even although the GFS is not showing all of this and all of that across northern and southern portions of the island. We're still gonna be working with the consensus. We're working with the agreement. So sections of eastern Portland, eastern St. Thomas, that's where we're actually working with in terms of the rainfall, and that's where we see it on both the Euro and the GFS maps. Let us skip ahead to about 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 9 a.m. Jamaica time. And what do we see on both maps? We see the blues that represent rainfall still affecting sections of eastern Jamaica, more spilling into sections of even St. Andrew and Kingston right there. This is the Euro model. What does the GFS model show? Let us see. Something a bit similar, not as robust as what the Euro was showing, but we see the consensus, definitely section of eastern Jamaica, so St. Thomas, Portland, maybe even sections of Kingston and St. Andrew for 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We know that's 9 a.m. Jamaica time. Then in the afternoon hours now, look at what we see. We see the blues that represent rainfall plaguing majority of the island. So from the east to the west across the island, So eastern, central, and western parishes. Look at that area across section of northern St. Elizabeth, eastern Westmoreland, section of St. James and Trelawney. We see those greens, even some yellows in there that represent some, heavy rainfall, if not a lot of rainfall. And if we take a look at the GFS for the same time period, we do see, yes, the darker shades of blues that represent rainfall across more so across the northern portion of the island than anything else. But we see the blues that represent rainfall across most areas across the island. But I'm more inclined to believe across northern portion of the island, especially those darker shades of blues. Keep in mind also that this is valid for 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is actually 3 p.m. Jamaica time. So we're definitely going to be in for some amount of afternoon rainfall tomorrow across sections of some eastern, central, and western parishes. We're also still seeing those blues that represent rainfall still plaguing sections of Portland and St. Thomas as well. So we'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, please ensure that you bring your umbrella with you if you're going out tomorrow. Even by 10 p.m. we still see a lot of rainfall in and around the island on both the Euro and the GFS maps. Look at all of these blues and even greens in there that represent rainfall. GFS even showing something similar around the island. 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is actually 9 p.m. Jamaica time, so maybe some night rainfall across the island. We'll see exactly what unfolds. We know sometimes these models can exaggerate, but we don't want it to be a case where they're actually coming true and they're triggering some amount of flash flooding in some spots, especially with all these troughs. We know how unpredictable these troughs can be. Sometimes they don't bring any rain, sometimes they surprise us with a lot of rain. So at this point, ensure that we take necessary precautions. If we see flash flooding taking place, ensure that we turn around, don't drown. If we actually take a look at the accumulated precipitation forecast maps, keep in mind that this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday. Not saying that's going to be raining from now all the way up until then, but these are the areas that are going to be picking up the most in the way of rainfall. And we see that the Euro is showing up to at least 0.68 of an inch of rainfall, the most across eastern Jamaica. What does the GFS show for the same time period? A bit different with the where we see the most in the rainfall totals across the northwest right here, up to 0.66 of an inch of rainfall. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Maybe even sections of Maran Pipe might get even more rainfall than that, even although it doesn't have the number to show, but we see the reds over there. We'll see exactly what unfolds. Either way, we're in the month of April. We're starting to wrap up our dry season. We usually receive up to 114.75 millimeters of rainfall during this month. So yes, we'll take all the rainfall that we can get to put some kind of a dent in the drought that some areas are currently experiencing. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. We can see that we have some amount of clouds bringing rainfall associated with a cold front. The section of the United States right here, the central US, and all of this is pushing towards the east. It is this system that was responsible for bringing a lot of tornado activity across sections of the US, damaging some houses, buildings, whatever the case may be. Hopefully persons are taking necessary precautions so that they are not that drastically affected. We can also see the clouds associated with the numerous troughs plaguing sections of the northern Caribbean. So we see clouds all across the basin affecting sections of the Leeward Islands, Puerto Rico, section of Haiti, the Dominican Republic, section of Cuba, the Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, and even sections of Jamaica. And we see that general flow. If we look closely, the low level flow is coming in from the east, the upper level flow coming in from the west aloft. You can also see some cloud cover across sections of northern South America. This is nothing new. We always see those thunderstorm activity affecting sections of Colombia, if not Venezuela, sections of Suriname, and even French Guyana. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean right now, we can see where we're getting that rainfall as we speak. Let me see, where did the images go? Alright, so right now we can see that we're definitely getting some rainfall right there across sections of northern Puerto Rico, sections of eastern Puerto Rico getting in on the action as well, sections of Antigua and Barbuda, and even sections of Montserrat might be getting on some amount of rainfall as we speak. We see even Martinique being plagued by some grains that represent rainfall. And if we take a look at the Barbados radar, we can actually see where we have some rainfall passing to the north of the island. We see that fashion coming in more from the east, northeast. That rainfall right there affecting sections of Martinique. Some of this rainfall going into sections of St. Vincent as we speak. Nothing affecting Barbados right now, but we do see some dots of rainfall right here to the northeast of Tobago, possibly heading into that direction, so maybe affecting sections of Tobago tonight into tomorrow. As it relates to the wider view of Doppler radar images, we can also see some rainfall even as we speak affecting sections of northwestern Venezuela right here, section of Guatemala, section of western Honduras, section of the Yucatan Peninsula of Mexico, more so the western portions of the Yucatan Peninsula. If we skip southward, let's see what we see right here. Do we see any rainfall? Yes, we do. We see some rainfall, by the way, across sections of Cuba right there. We can also see some rainfall across sections of Colombia and even sections of Suriname and French Guiana, just like what we saw in the visible satellite images just now. As it relates to the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we're indeed grateful that majority of the Caribbean is still going to be plagued with more grays than anything else that we see by the key on the right. That represents average temperatures. So we're not getting in on those yellows, oranges, or reds that represent way above normal temperatures across the Caribbean. More of those above normal temperatures should be plaguing sections of the United States, sections of Central America, and even sections of South America right here. You can even see some blues that represent below normal temperatures. That's going to be plaguing the waters to the north of Hispaniola, as well as sections of the Bahamas. And we're indeed grateful across the Caribbean. We're not getting on those terribly above normal temperatures right now or tomorrow. Keep in mind that this map is showing 18Z on Tuesday, which is actually 1 p.m. on Tuesday. So we're giving thanks. As it relates to the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Tuesday, we're indeed grateful because majority of the Caribbean is going to be in the clear. All the browns that represent the Saharan dust should be right there across the waters of the main Devoma region, as well as Africa. Even that vigorous plume of dust represented by that darker shade closer to Dakar in Africa. We're indeed grateful that we're not getting in on that either. We know that's the vigorous plume that represents the, hazy skies, maybe even triggering some amount of respiratory illnesses in some people. As it relates to the wind and wave forecast, firstly the wave forecast, we see that majority of the Caribbean on both the Euro and the GFS maps should be getting in on those lighter shades of blues to darker shades of blues that we can see by the key on the bottom right that represents anywhere from 0.5 meter wave height to 1.5 meter wave height. And that's because the winds are not going to be that strong at all. We see both the Euro and the GFS maps in consensus with the wind speed, with those bluish greens and even some brighter greens, even some yellows in there that represent anywhere, by what we can see on the key on the bottom right, from 5 to 10 to even 15 knots, maybe even gusting to 20 to 25 knots, especially to the south of Haiti and Dominican Republic right there. That's where we're going to be seeing the highest winds across the Caribbean. And we see the general flow coming in from the east, even curving towards the north as we enter the western Caribbean. So more of a southeast to northwesterly flow as we head into the Yucatan Peninsula. But what about the rainfall forecast? If we take a look at these maps, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS, showing all the rainfall that's expected from now up until 10 p.m. on Tuesday, we see where we're going to be getting on that rainfall. And we're looking for the consensus, and we already see the consensus in terms of where the rainfall is going to be located on both maps. So we're going to be working with this. So let's have a look right here. We see that the rainfall is going to be affecting sections of Cuba, Jamaica, Haiti, the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, sections of the Leeward Islands. If it's not already affecting them, it's going to be affecting them before the next 24 hours is up. So the US and British Virgin Islands, St. Martin, St. Kitts and Nevis, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda right here, section of Guadeloupe, Dominica right here. You can also see that rainfall that's going to be plaguing sections of French Guiana, Suriname, sections of Guyana, sections of southern Venezuela, western Venezuela, majority of Colombia, sections of Panama, Costa Rica as well, and even sections of El Salvador, Guatemala, and southwestern Honduras. Even sections of Belize might get in on the action too, and we see that both the Euro and the GFS maps are in consensus with all of this. And we know that when they're in consensus like this, the chance of actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.